just because I
All righty.
make the best use of our 40 minutes here. And then,
I have 4:30. I'll call this meeting to order. I've been informed that we've already approved the minutes for June 4, so we won't be doing that. So we can go right on to getting any updates from Mark or Steve.
So that would be me.
That would be you.
Tanya and I finished up the 5-year yesterday. I had to wait till after the school committee met last night to finally approve the fiscal 21 budget. It was approved 2 or 3 weeks ago, but by a 6-5 vote. Last night was an 8-4 vote, solidifying the 2/3. So you have the 5-year do nothing spreadsheet from Pioneer Valley. That's the biggest update. I was trying to get that complete so that you would have it for this meeting. Whereas Gil Montague showed positive financial forecasts for the next 5 years, Pioneer Valley does not. It's a pretty vast spreadsheet consisting of a revenue tab and several what Pioneer calls categories or functions. Some of those have supporting details. The projection assumptions are on each of the individual categories and revenue spreadsheets. So what is your pleasure with this 5-year forecast?
I'm pulling it up right now. You got any questions, Mike?
Well, I do, and I'd like to give other people a chance as well. I had a chance to look at it a little bit, and my first question is, when I pull it up, I get a message telling me that there are links that it can't update, and what do I want to do about it? Which I'm just wondering if we could get a version that doesn't do that.
So Mike, this is Mark. When I call it up, I don't get that error message.
Well, that may be because you've got, do you have a P drive somewhere?
No. But I can tell you this. The first sheet, the 5-year do nothing, is linked to all of those various tabs. So facilities would be linked to the facility tab, Pioneer Valley Administration to that tab. Those are the links that exist. There are some links like debt that don't have a debt tab that's on the central office tab, and I've noted that.
Well, Mark, how about if you look at on that 5-year do nothing sheet?
Yep.
How about looking at cell D5?
There's nothing in B5.
D5.
Oh, sorry.
Which sheet are you on? Are you on the fiscal 21 budget?
Oh, okay, here we go.
I'm on the 5-year do nothing tab.
Okay.
I brought it up on my computer and I've got it up now, and it doesn't ask for any slide, gives me all the information.
Well, what does it show you that cell? What's the value up in the formula bar?
I see what you're saying.
I see C users 16178 Dropbox.
Okay, I can explain that.
My cell doesn't know, my computer doesn't know what to do with that.
So it's on the far right, it's the fiscal 21 budget, cell F9. And there's a fiscal 21 budget tab. The rest is how I file it within my computer.
Tanya coming on.
Well, all I'm saying is it's pointing to things that my computer doesn't know what they are. If there's nothing that can be done, there's nothing that can be done. But
All right, Mike, on the end of that string,
yeah,
does it say FY21 budget F9?
Yes.
yes, it does.
Okay, so right next to the 5-year do nothing first tab, there's the FY21 budget file. And it should be
Okay.
linked to F9 on that tab.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I guess it's not, right?
I think, click on the F21 budget.
Well, my
Actually,
go ahead, Jane.
click on the window where you just read the F9. And then go down to the bottom and click on the F21 budget so that you bring that up.
Oh,
And then when you go to that screen, the F9 cell should be highlighted. However, when I go over and do that on mine, it's the I9, 18 that's highlighted. I don't know why that is. Get out of here and try it again.
Mike might have a corrupted file. I don't know if you maybe start again, some a new one.
Yeah, that's why I wanted him to do this.
Well, on the 5-year do nothing, I'm in cell D5. And then I go over to the F21 budget. And I don't see anything going on in F9. In fact, F9 is a different number. 8873,919.
That's what I have.
Oh, sorry, no, it's the same number.
Is it the same one?
yeah, that's what I've got.
Oh, yeah.
You got it now?
Am I the only one who has this trouble?
No, that's the way it works.
Well, it works if you link stuff to things that are outside the spreadsheet. If you only link the stuff, I mean, if this were not pointing to some place on the C drive, but we're pointing to that tab, then that message wouldn't appear. And there's also references to something on the P drive.
I didn't run into that, Mike. The only references that I dealt with were within this spreadsheet, just on different sheets of the document.
Is there a way you could bring, Greg, or you're the presenter, bring it up so we can all look at the spreadsheet so we got the same, the one that works?
Here, why don't we, just so we can see what Mike's doing, I'll shift it over to him so he can present his screen, and then it's easier for us to see what's going on. So Mike, I'm going to make you host.
Okay.
And
Well, except, okay.
so that way they can see what's going on your screen.
All right. I got to bring it up on this computer then.
I can't seem to turn my screen on today for whatever reason.
Tanya's here. Tanya, do you want to add any comments in terms of the do nothing scenario?
I actually didn't get the version 10 that was finalized last night. I don't have that in my email, so.
Oh,
I didn't send it to you?
No,
Oh,
you
my
said
bad.
you were going to send, but I didn't get it.
Let me send it to you right now.
I did send some comments to Mark last night that we, as a district are doing things to set us up for the next couple of years so that we won't have, deficits in our budget or as high of increases to the town. I know the do nothing scenario counts a 2.5% increase in assessments to the towns, but we've struggled with that, getting any increase to the towns in the last couple of years. So we are keeping some funds in our school choice from savings we had this year that will help us in FY22, that budget, and hoping to be able to use a little more E&D moving forward. Just depends on how this year closes out in the next couple of years. So, it's hard because yes, this is a do nothing scenario, but we're not, I don't think I don't know what Gil Montague is doing. I don't know what they're doing from a planning standpoint for sustainability in the future. I can only speak for Pioneer, but we are definitely constantly forward thinking about what we're going to do to continue to keep our district sustainable. So we do have things planned for the next couple of years, but those aren't really do nothing. So.
Can you share your screen, Mike?
Greg, do you share the screen?
Well, you can. You should be able
Oh,
to.
I can?
I made you the host of the meeting, so.
I was gonna say
so-
I mentioned this to, while we're waiting for him to share a screen, I did mention to Mark that I think it's going to be a really hard sell to Pioneer's 4-member towns because we have our salary scale and our benefits are less than Gil Montague. And unless there were significant savings in other areas, it would be really hard for, I think, our 4-member towns to support going up to paying 90% for health insurance versus 75, as well as some of the larger step increases once you get to I don't know. I haven't seen the salary schedules current because I think you guys are still under negotiations possibly, but ours is current through FY21. But the fact that there's an 11%, variance between our top step and Gil Montague's, I think is concerning also because that would, meeting in the middle would even mean, significant increase to assessments to our member towns. Like I said, unless there was some significant savings, it would be captured elsewhere.
I think that's jumping too far ahead. I think we need to be concerned about the education of our children and figure out the finances later. We're not doing a good enough job with education, in my opinion. We need to focus on that.
Okay, Mike, you got your screen up. We can all see it.
Okay, so this is what I'm looking at right here. And I see how the PV do nothing FY21 budget F9. Okay. There's just a bunch of these to fix if we're gonna have to go through and fix them. I mean, this whole row. And then there's, we go over here. Let's see. There we go.
What?
See that VLOOKUP, P budget, whatever.
I can't, can you guys hear me or no?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry, I wasn't sure if I was muted. So I'm not sure what you guys are trying to look at or fix, but the way that these are done is based on lookups into salary schedules within this that I built. But I think when you're looking at things outside of where it was created. I think when you open a file, you just have to say don't update, and it will keep the numbers as is, and it will ignore the formulas.
Does that make sense to you, Mike?
I guess, yeah.
You're in elementary salaries, Mike? And that's-
Yes. Elementary salaries detail.
I get the same things, but I did click the update when it prompted me at the beginning.
I'm just concerned that if somebody clicks the wrong thing, something's going to get screwed up in the spreadsheet and it won't know how to fix itself. But if it's not going to be fixed, it's not going to be fixed. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. I just thought I'd bring it up. I mean, I know how to fix it, but I just,
So I think a lot of this detail that rolls up into it maybe could be put into PDF form by Mark so that when it's presented that.
I don't want a PDF, sorry. No, I do not want a PDF.
Okay, I'm just, this is my actual budget sheet. So, and it was, you know, Mark took it and did what he did with it. And when you're opening things in an outside source that are linked to others, I'm not the one who, you know, is being paid to do the do nothing scenario. So any adjustments that need to be made to the spreadsheet so that it's usable by outside resources, that's not something that I would be doing on my end.
Fine with me.
Why don't we have Mark take a look and run us through what that 5-year do nothing and explain that, and all these others are supporting spreadsheets to that. So maybe we should go through that, Greg, let Mark do a presentation and present what he did, and let's take a look at it.
That's fine. I mean, I hear Mike's concern. I mean, once we're done with this grant and we have new information come in, if he wants to run different scenarios, that might be very difficult for him to do. But let's backtrack and let's have Mark give a presentation on the key points of what you found in this.
So can you switch sharing to me?
Sure. Well, actually, if you want, Mike, why don't you do that? So if you go up into Mark's square where you see his name, hit the 3 little buttons in the top right corner of his screen.
Make host.
You can make him host. Yep.
Ah,
I am the host.
You're up, Mark. You probably want to stop sharing your screen, Mike.
Okay. And how do I do that?
Well, it may have taken it away from you, but if Mark, why don't you go ahead and share your screen and see if it overrides his. Yep, coming in now.
Yep, perfect. Hold on, I gotta get to it. Tanya, I sent you the version. All right, you gotta go get it. Can we all see this?
yes,
Yeah, I can.
I can.
Yes.
Yes. yes.
All right, so I'm gonna do several things. See these blues?
Yep.
These are the main files. The grays feed into some of those blues. Each of the blues is linked back to the 5-year do nothing. Each of the blues will contain the 5-year. And you'll see how I got to the 5-year. The base is fiscal 21. Some of the salaries are at 4.5% increase. The superintendent's is at 5%. Some of the salaries are at 2%. The non-salary line items are generally 2%. The debt is the actual debt schedule, et cetera, et cetera. So you'll see on every sheet some indication of how. All right, the meeting will end in 10 minutes. We have to log back in. Is that correct, Greg?
Yeah, but you got 10 minutes. So go on.
Okay. So a couple of big picture things. Got to find it first. There are some non-budgeted funds that have reduced fiscal year 21. And these are identified on the revenue sheet. And you'll see these reductions to the fiscal 21 numbers when you look at athletics, elementary instruction, elementary salaries, insurance and benefits, and SPED. One of my concerns was, can the district prolong these non-budgeted funds going forward? And Tanya felt comfortable that the district could do that. Number two, Pioneer Valley has $510,000 in certified E&D as of fiscal 19. Tanya believes there's going to be a surplus coming out of 20 due to COVID-19 and the reduction of expenditures. So we've used excess and deficiency at 150,000 for 21, 22, 23, and 24. But there's not enough excess and deficiency to carry into 25 and carry into 26. So that's important to understand, because this is a buffer for Pioneer Valley to use $600,000 of E&D for 21 through 24. SPED, the district has got few kids in SPED to the point where they can bring the SPED students in district and avoid the tuition payments going forward. So you'll see in 21, over 300,000 of tuition payments. And with them bringing it in-house, the elimination of out-of-district tuition. Here's an example of the assumptions. So in the SPED tab, salaries are projected at a 4.5% increase. The non-salary accounts, 2% increase. Transportation, 3.5% increase. So these percentages are applied to fiscal 21 in each of the tabs and increased in the outer years accordingly. Those with no percentage increases are flat going forward.
Mark, I just have one question. Tanya, you're going to reduce that 300,000 on tuition. What are you going to have to do to take care of those kids when you bring them in district?
So I want to actually speak to that. So that's not really the gist of that. So we have students in out of district that are going to be turning 22 and coming off, but we are not adding new students or sending new students to out of district because we have programs that we're running in district at the elementary level that are allowing us to keep these kids mainstream with the aids and stuff that we have in place. So it's not that we're necessarily bringing kids back in. We are just not adding to our out of district placements in the district.
And they're aging out is a good example. That's a good, that's an
Right, yeah,
explanation.
so they're aging out. FY23 we will have no students remaining in out of district placement, so it decreases the special needs transportation and the tuition, and we will just have about 125,000 plus, the increases in transportation costs for in-district sped transportation for the students that we do provide services to in-house, but that do require special transportation needs.
On athletics, here's an example of the non-budgeted funds. This comes from the athletic revolving fund that essentially reduces that line item from 66,500 to 10,500 and reduces the fiscal 21 base accordingly. And it's the fiscal 21 base that is used to project forward. So I wanted to just highlight some of those. From a revenue point of view, the assessments we put in at 102.5, and I can understand Tanya's point about the towns being reluctant to have Pioneer increase their assessments by 2.5% a year. With that 2.5%, the 5-year do nothing has these forecasts. If we lower the 2.5% assessment increases downward, it will increase the shortfalls. If we increase the assessments, it will decrease the shortfalls. So I'm open to changing the 2.5% assessment to a different number. I don't have a problem doing that. Tanya, if we look back, say, 5 years and took an average of the increase in assessments over the 5 years, would that be a better?
No, unfortunately, prior to me coming on board, our school committee and towns were kind of blindly approving budgets by the administration that had been there before, but the outcome of the haphazard finances that were in the district have caused the member towns to really push back, and they are not really wanting to increase funding to the education and Pioneer. But yet I'm hearing that, one of our finance committee chairs is saying we're not doing a good enough job in education, and it's making it very difficult for Pioneer to restore some of those educational services that were lost in the financial disaster that happened 4 years ago. So if we look back when our prior administration was in-house and before the person that I replaced, the towns were approving anywhere between 2 and 4.5% increases with no problems. But
It's not true.
I look back.
There were problems, Tanya.
Right. Jane, can I continue? So I looked back 10 years from when Dale Dorian was in-house, and there were some pretty significant assessment increases. But we're funding the budget right now at levels that the district was funding, 4 and 5 years ago. So if we continue to have to meet, 0 assessment increases to the towns, we're going to continue to have to cut educational services to our students because we have contracted increases for, union contracts. The cost of things go up every year. So it's real, and because we're a base aid district, it's really not possible to continue to 0% increases or $0 assessment increases to our towns, maintain a viable educational model at Pioneer.
So I'm raising this to underscore a major point in the projection. There are a lot of assumptions here. If assessments are raised 2.5% a year, if teaching salaries are raised 4.5% a year, if administrative staff 2%,